incredibly grave and serious matter of taking classified information about American battle plans involving American troops and randomly sending those battle plans to the wrong guy. If they don't understand the seriousness of that, then they don't understand how their jobs affect the lives of ordinary American people. And as an American, having the most powerful people in your country not take their responsibilities seriously can be lethal. You know, every day I was in Afghanistan, I knew that I could die because of an intelligence failure, that if certain information about what I was doing got into the wrong hands, that could cost me my life. But I also knew that
it's rare to see Pete Buttigieg get upset. He's usually a calm, level-headed leader who understands the importance of staying composed in chaotic situations. But tonight, Pete was understandably angry, and he didn't hold back. He tore into Donald Trump, Mike Waltz, Pete Hegseth, and the entire administration over the catastrophic data leak reported by The Atlantic. It was a scathing criticism from Buttigieg that has left Trump both panicked and furious. We're gonna dive into all the details, but before we do, if you could please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, it would really mean a lot. Now, let's listen to Pete Buttigieg's interview with Caitlin Collins.
What was your reaction to this breach of extremely sensitive defense information?
It was shocking. And I got to say, you know, all the things that I've seen happen in the last few weeks, it's taken a lot to feel genuinely shocked. But this is genuinely shocking. We're talking about incredibly sensitive, highly classified information that they didn't just discuss on an unclassified system. They sent war plans to the wrong guy. Now, they're lucky, and we're lucky, that that wrong guy was a responsible, patriotic, ethical journalist who just had on this program who knew not to publish anything that could put people's lives in danger. But I got two questions on my mind. One, what if this had, in fact, gone to somebody else? I mean, somebody who could plausibly be in some of these people's cell phones. I don't know, the Chinese ambassador or Russian negotiator. And the other question on my mind is, how many other times has something like this happened? You know, this is the one that we know about, but how many other times could they have screwed up like this in a way that puts American troops and families in harm's way?
Yeah, is your concern that if they were texting about this and had this group chat, that maybe there are other encrypted chats about this using Signal, an app that anyone could download, that anyone can use if they're inadvertently added to it, like this was?
Yeah. The whole point of classified information systems is to keep classified information on them. And by the way, I don't know everything about how Pete Hegseth's computers work, but I know this. In my experience, both in the cabinet and as an intelligence officer, you would have to go out of your way to take classified information and move it into an unclassified system. I don't know if a lot of folks understand how this works, but it's not like there's a computer where you might get an unclassified email and a classified email in the same inbox. They're not even the same computers. By design, it is very difficult for information to move from one system to the other unless somebody goes out of their way to do that. And, you know, I don't want to speculate on how the FBI will respond to this or how Congress will respond to this, but I know that it was drilled into us back when I was an intelligence officer that if you ever took top secret information, moved it over to an unclassified system and disclosed it, that would be a crime. I mean, I can't tell you how much this was drilled into us when I was in the military. So much so that I would have bad dreams when I was a junior officer about accidentally maybe bringing in my cell phone into a classified area where you're supposed to physically check in your cell phone and not even bring it into that space so that if there's some listening device, that information couldn't possibly get out. And by the way, I've got to zoom out and make sure everybody understands why this information is classified. It's not just classified because it's interesting or because it's special. By definition, when something is highly classified, it is highly classified because if it got into the wrong hands, it could harm national security or get American troops killed.
Yeah, well, and just in terms of how this is typically handled and the fact that it was in this group chat that obviously he was in and no one noticed he was in, you said maybe FBI investigations, congressional investigations. Do you think that federal laws were broken here, whether that be the Federal Records Act, given Everyone knows Signal is set to delete. And as he reported, this was set to delete, meaning there is no record of this conversation after it expires after a while. Or do you believe this violated the Espionage Act?
I would have very real concerns about violations of both of those laws. And remember, some of these same people suggested that that others should go to jail in the past for far less. Now, this will be a test of integrity for the FBI, which is ordinarily responsible for counterintelligence investigations and investigating the mishandling of classified information. It's also a huge test for Congress. It's a test for congressional Republicans who, if they have any integrity, know that this is a serious matter. Now, we've already seen a lot of them rushing to make excuses for this, but this is incredibly serious stuff.
President Trump, as you saw earlier, was saying he wasn't aware of this report. We're since told he's been briefed on it, but he reposted something that Elon Musk wrote earlier, kind of mocking all of this by making fun of The Atlantic. He wrote, "Best place to hide a dead body is page 2 of The Atlantic magazine because no one ever goes there." Trump reposted that earlier. Do you see that as making light of what has happened here?
Yeah, because this is all a game to them. You know, nobody in Donald Trump's family is on a ship in the Mediterranean. Nobody in Elon Musk's family is at risk from the kinds of economic or security harms that are going on here. They think all of this is a joke or a game because these are incredibly rich, powerful men who, frankly, don't have to worry about the kinds of things most Americans do. And look, this is part of a bigger pattern, right? The sloppiness and the incompetence, whether it's firing the people who were in charge of keeping our nuclear weapons safe, apparently by accident, and then scrambling to hire them back on, whether it's sending an email to try to buy out air traffic controllers in the middle of an air traffic control shortage, and then scrambling after a plane crash to say, oh, that never applied to them, whether it's that Doge site, their so-called wall of receipts, thinking that they were proving that they saved the taxpayer $8 billion with a B, not realizing that the contract they were talking about was $8 million with an M, which means they were off by 100,000%. And now this incredibly grave and serious matter of taking classified information about American battle plans involving American troops and randomly sending those battle plans to the wrong guy. If they don't understand the seriousness of that, then they don't understand how their jobs affect the lives of ordinary American people. And as an American, having the most powerful people in your country not take their responsibilities seriously can be lethal. You know, every day I was in Afghanistan, I knew that I could die because of an intelligence failure, that if certain information about what I was doing got into the wrong hands, that could cost me my life. But I also knew that everybody in my chain of command, up and down, from the gunny sergeant sitting next to me in a vehicle, to the colonel, to the then Secretary of Defense and President of the United States, took my security and the security of all of our troops seriously, took the responsibility, the life and death responsibility they had seriously, and would keep me safe.
Do you think someone should be fired over this?
Absolutely. I mean, if I made a mistake like this as a lieutenant, I would be probably not just fired, but probably indicted and tried and maybe in prison. And the idea that, you remember, these guys love talking about merit, right? We hear a lot about this alleged principle that they're hiring people on merit. I think, you know, there's some questions there. I mean, you know, our current Secretary of Defense hadn't shown a lot of evidence of, you know, running a large organization, or let alone running a large organization well. And he got put in charge of the largest organization in the United States of America and the most important organization in the world, which is the U.S. Department of Defense. And if there's not accountability for a screw up like this, especially from a president who used to fire people every day on television for sport, what are we even doing here?
Pete Buttigieg, thank you for joining and thank you for your time tonight.
I'm not surprised to say this, and you're not surprised to feel it. Pete is spot on. What happened today shows just how incredibly foolish, and intentionally so, the Trump administration is. This has always been Donald Trump's plan, to have people in charge who are incompetent. He wants to make you lose trust in the government, because if Trump and Elon Musk can convince you that the entire system is broken, they can push the idea that we don't need it anymore. Except, of course, for the parts that serve them and the billionaire class, helping them with corporate communism and taking our taxpayer dollars without giving anything back. That's their ultimate goal. I don't know if this particular mess is part of that plan, but it's clear they don't care. They're more upset that the media is covering it than about the mistake itself. It's absurd. I shared some candid thoughts today, and we definitely heard Pete's perspective on it, but I'd be remiss if I didn't also share his quick response in this TikTok clip right here.
Hey, it's Pete. I try not to jump in with a take on everything or comment on everything we see in the news of the day, but what we learned about today is truly incredible. The U.S. Secretary of Defense, the National Security Advisor, the Vice President of the United States, and other very senior, very powerful Trump White House officials, it turns out, discussed highly classified war plans, not only on an unclassified channel, but accidentally and randomly, it seems, including a journalist. And to see this administration claiming that it cares about competence and merit, and then be responsible for an epic fuck-up like this, demonstrates that these are not serious people. I was an intelligence officer for about 7 years in the U.S. Navy Reserve, and I occasionally handled highly classified information during my time in the cabinet as well. It can be hard to explain just how much goes into keeping that information safe. It is only available to people with a security clearance and a need to know. It's only discussed in certain facilities that are hardened to make sure that they don't have the same vulnerability to surveillance as most places. And importantly, you only ever use classified systems to discuss classified information. So America needs answers on why an unclassified, commercially available app was used, and even more importantly, how some of the most powerful people in this country didn't know that they accidentally included a journalist while they were discussing classified war plans that they had yet to authorize and execute. This is not something that's just important for its own sake. I know Americans who lost their lives because of intelligence failures. This kind of intelligence failure calls the question on whether there is any place for merit or competence in this administration at all. Because if there are not highly serious consequences for this level of screw-up, then it will make clear that all of the bluster about merit that you hear about from this White House is just bullshit. We deserve so much better than this. It is getting clearer by the day that the people in charge of the American government cannot keep the American people safe. Got to do better.
I really feel like Pete Buttigieg represents all of us tonight. I don't know how this news hit you, but I was in class when I saw it, and honestly, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I wanted to run out immediately and share my thoughts with you all, but I've been struggling all day to find the right words. This is part of their plan. They want us to hate the government, and we do hate this version of it because it's broken and only serves a select few. It's tough to deal with this every day without feeling scared. We can be angry and upset, but fear is a different feeling. And I'm scared of what the rest of this administration will look like with these people in power and no checks on them. The only guardrails left are us. Through good journalism, honest activism, and pushing back. We have to keep doing that every day. We're certainly doing it on this show, and if you want to support that, I know it can feel scary. But you can subscribe, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around until the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. I'll see you soon.